friends. So we have been studying the Sermon on the Mount on Sunday mornings. And if you caught the sermon last Sunday, I talked about how we as Christians ought to understand the law. But for this devotion, I wanted to talk about how to understand the Old Testament. Jesus said in Matthew 5, verse 17, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them." Now, if I can be honest, there are times when I wish I could get rid of the Old Testament. It can be confusing at times. There's stuff about sacrifices and war and interesting family dynamics. But I also know that Jesus put his stamp of approval on the Old Testament. In this verse, Jesus says that he came to fulfill the law and the prophets. That phrase, the law and the prophets, was sometimes used to refer to the whole of the Old Testament. So in other words, Jesus is saying that it all points to him. He is the one who gives it meaning. So how does that reality help us to understand the Old Testament better? Well, first, Jesus completes the Old Testament story. The Old Testament is not just a collection of amazing stories and poetry or wisdom, but more than that, it's a story of a God who has acted in human history. The stories tell us about a real relationship with God and his people and his revelation to them. For example, think about the story about Abraham being willing to sacrifice his son Isaac as a sacrifice to God. When we look back at that story, we see how Jesus gives that story deeper meaning. God's son, Jesus, sacrificed his life for us so that we can be saved. That's just one example about how understanding the Old Testament story helps us to understand Jesus better. Second, Jesus is the fulfillment of God's promises and prophecies. Matthew starts out his gospel by showing how Jesus' conception, his birth, and his early childhood fulfilled Old Testament prophecy. All in all, Jesus fulfilled over 300 prophecies in the Old Testament, including 29 in a single day. I don't know about you, but that gives me confidence that Jesus is who he says he is. And then finally, Jesus fulfills the Old Testament law by revealing its full meaning. Now, I went into much more detail about this in my sermon last Sunday, but what Jesus does in the Sermon on the Mount is not abolish the law, but he reinterprets it. God's law was given to help people to love God with all of their hearts and all of their minds, and to love their neighbor. But the religious leaders had misquoted and misapplied the law. And so Jesus brings us back to the heart of the law through his teachings in the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus summed up the heart of the law as love God and love others. But to help us actually apply that, we still need the moral law of the Ten Commandments and Jesus' teachings to help us to understand how to practically live that out. That being said, I am thankful to Jesus that we are no longer condemned by the law. Instead, Jesus has broken the power of sin in our lives, and he has freed us to love God by obeying his commands. Friends, there's so much more we could say about the Old Testament, but I hope that this devotion has given you a deeper appreciation for the Old Testament, and I want to invite you to read it regularly, not just to better understand the culture and history of it, but to gain a fresh understanding of the one who completes it, Jesus Christ. Friends, thank you so much for listening. God bless.